countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ring the bell! School's back in, suckers! It's the Last Comic Shop podcast.
School's back in, suckers?
Can't touch this.
Yeah, you're going to get us flagged on YouTube.
YouTube has never heard of fair use, but we have, because we're opening up the shop to talk about something that we hope everybody gets a chance to read.
That's right. Maybe sometimes there are things that come out that slide under your radar, and so you want to go back and find out some high-quality materials there. Got another Abrams Comic Arts book here.
Ooh, that's right. It is Fancy Schmancy this week. I'm the host with the most, Andy Larson. I'm joined by Chad Smith and Jay Scott, as well as the beautiful and talented and hyper-intelligent Nicole Larson, who often joins us for these more scholarly entries into the Last Comic Shop archives.
AKA depressing as crap books.
Yeah, she gets the serious ones.
Holocaust, more Holocaust.
We had you on
Vietnam War, Iranian War. I mean, come on.
We had you on last year for that one where all of the Marvel Universe fought the vampires. Yeah, the blood hunts and things. Remember? I was throwing you a bone.
Literally.
Yeah. She doesn't remember those ones. She remembers Duck's 2 years in the oil sands, but not the fact
Canadian oil fields.
the Marvel Universe fought vampires. But that's fine. Again, school's back. It is the day after Labor Day weekend. A lot of schools are back throughout the United States, and hopefully this is a book that a lot of high school, college folks that are taking classes that want to read something that shows what comic books are capable of, we hope you check out. It is another year of J.A. pick. And which book is it this week, J.A.?
We are reading The Best We Could Do, which is a 2017 illustrated memoir written and drawn by Thi Bui. It was nominated for an Eisner and won an American Book Award.
There you go, which means it's classy. And so, Andy, why don't you tell us about this classy material, what with the 10-cent synopsis thereof?
Come on, I'm going to make this a real thin dime. Thi Bui tells the story of how her mother and father had to flee Vietnam after the Vietnam War with their family and come to America.
Yep.
Yeah.
So again, very serious. I mean, J.A. said that there was some humor in this book. I would like him to explain because I didn't see it. I'm going to go on record saying I really did love this book. I'm really glad that we read it this week. But when you made the comment that there was humor in this, I was like, where? Yeah, where was that? Where?
Well, family humor, things that you can laugh at situations, not ha-ha, funny Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore type humor, but even when she's introducing all of her sisters and brothers and their family, and she's got a sister that's her name is written B-I-C-H, then her sister is saying, it's pronounced Bic, okay? I'm sure that some people have been pronouncing it slightly differently in their minds as they've been reading it up until that point. Things like that I found quite humorous.
I was going to say, now, Jay, I will agree with you. There are those familial moments of humor. It's not funny, haha. But that same panel has the dead children in the background, so I could see Andy's point where it's like, not always,
Right. This is a story which is incredibly important to tell and has a lot of emotion, a lot of pathos. You can tell that Thi Bui this was really important for her to get down in writing and tell her story of her family. I will say this, I think there was more humor in Duck's 2 years in the oil sand. There may have been raped. I'm not saying that was no, I'm just saying there was probably some. All
right, well, humor aside.
Right.
Like you said, I mean, this is one of those, it reminds me of Persepolis, right? Where you have a child that grows up in a time of conflict, right? Thuy was, on the boat as a young child escaping Vietnam. And, this kind of interesting perspective when they go through that moment as a child without fully understanding the perspective of the grown-ups that are with them, right? So like this is really her as an adult going back and examining how her parents, one, grew up themselves, and then how that all led into how things transpired when she was around, right? And how she now has that different perspective, knowing kind of where her parents came from, what they went through.
Yeah, there's a comment in this book about how she didn't really understand the things that happened when she was younger. She had a little bit of resentment towards the way that her father raised her when she was young and impressionable. But that was because her father had a really rough life up until that point. I mean, I thought that was the most interesting thing about this entire book for me. I get it that there were parts where she was trying to bring in how she was reacting as a mother herself, a child. They weren't the pages I was turning really quickly. Like the story about her father and the struggles that he had even before the Vietnam War, the stories about her and her parents actually living through the Vietnam War and then escaping Vietnam into Malaysia and then ultimately over to the United States. Those were the pages that I just couldn't put the book down. Those are the ones I was reading page after page after page. Those were engrossing. Those were incredibly well told. I wanted to know what happened next. I think that was the strength of this particular memoir, was telling that story. So I'm really, really grateful to the author for doing that. Agree, disagree with me on that, Chad?
This was an incredibly personal memoir that shows the trials and tribulations of a family that has gone through a lot and come out the other side. No, it is good for what it is. There's quality here, and it is an intensely personal journey. And it was neat to watch as the author connects with her father, who's a really complex human, because of the things he's been through. And that's something like reflecting on this from my own personal lens, my own personal perspective. It's that part about getting to know your parents as people. And that's something that the author, she's dealing with her own family. There's a panel down at the bottom where it's like, it's being both a parent and a child without acting like a child that eludes me. And she's like, we're such assholes. It's like, what? Her husband's like, who, us? And the kid's like, that's a bad word. She's like, we're the lamest second generation. Like, her parents had gone through, and grandparents had gone through all of these giant historical moments in life. And sometimes it's hard to think about people as the sum of the things that have had the impact on them. And it's hard as a human sometimes to think of your parents as, people that got up and put their pants on one leg at a time and went out and had to confront the challenges of the day. And so while my initial thoughts are a little dry, like, it is a family memoir. It is something that's intensely personal. It is something that's a worthwhile experience. I do wish we were reading Spider-Man. I sat down and I read this and I enjoyed it, but I wish we did fun books. Like this, it's not a fun book. It's an intensely personal memoir. It's an experience in that regard.
It's a year of J.A. Pick, not a year of Chad Pick.
I know, man. I know. I'm like, back in the oil sands again. And it's, I'm struggling because like, it's good. I enjoyed it. At the same time, it's not what I would be reaching for this week otherwise. So,
well, I mean, it touches obviously on themes of like family and parenthood and belonging, and also historical memory and how we remember things. And I think what she does really well is looking at the same event can be seen in different ways just based on, your gender or your class or your politics or your life experiences. And she really, I think, does a really nice job of fleshing that out, that idea that different people experience the same thing but have a completely different memory of that moment just based on where they were at the time or their gender or how they were raised. And also the way she weaves in her own giving birth and making a family into it. Well, Andrew, you said it was part of the book that you didn't like. That's how she opens the book. She opens the book that she's going into labor, and then she finishes the book sort of, my son is 10 years old, and now I sort of understand where my parents are coming from. And I thought that was very poignant. And very early on in the book, she says, family is now something I have created. It's not just something I was born into.
Right. And you hope her son is going to pick this up and be able to see his mom as a real human.
Yeah.
And pass that along.
But she also talks about how she struggles with trying to get her parents to open up and talk. And like she would want to sit down with her mom and do an oral history. And her mom was more interested in cooking for her or buying her clothing as opposed to, telling about her story or telling her that she loves her. That's how her mom showed affection. It was like cooking dinner. And then there's another joke. She was like, oh, white rice again, which I can empathize with.
Well, it's interesting that the mom opened up more to her husband, right? Like to the author's husband than her. And you wonder if there's a little bit of distance there because like if it's easier to open up to someone who's not intimately involved with the situation and maybe would have a little bit different judgment of it.
That part of the book reminded me a lot of Mouse. Remember how when we were talking about Mouse and how the author Art Spiegelman just wanted to talk to his dad all about his experience during the Holocaust? He would go over to his house and he'd be like, can you tell me more stories about that, Dad? And then his dad would call up and he's like, hey, you want to come over and help me fix the roof? And he's like, no, I can't do that, Dad. He was more interested in just chronicling this experience that his father went through because from a historical perspective, it was extremely important. And maybe that's why I didn't like him as much, because that kind of, to me, did seem like second generation-y thing, where it's like her mother and her father went through these incredibly intense, trauma-inducing life journeys. And I feel like, I'm sure it was very cathartic for them to talk about it. I'm sure that's not what they wanted to talk about. I'm sure they more wanted to talk about, oh, how's my grandkid doing? Hey, let me make you some dinner. Hey, here's a dress that I picked out for you. Just have some sort of connection with their kid and not have to think about the horrific things that happened to them in their past.
Well, even to piggyback off of that slightly, like we have lived through interesting times. The pandemic and all that's come from that, whether it's, how many global economic crashes have we been alive for and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, other than the fact, we washed our groceries for a little bit of time and we got to stay home, like it was still, just day by day living. And when you go through it, it's not as interesting. It's not as much of an event as it is just like, yeah, it was a Wednesday. I washed my groceries. I let my Ultraman toys sit on the side porch for a couple of days before I opened them up. But then, I went back to business as usual. And I wonder for the parents, like, that was a Tuesday. It's not as interesting to them. There's a dichotomy there between people that have lived through it and like, yeah, this is what we did. To survive, we had to do this. And then there was the next day, and to survive, we had to do that. And then we just kept surviving. And like, it's a fascinating story, but to them, it's just survival.
But still, I feel like that trip on the boat to Malaysia, that was, oh my gosh, that just seemed like super traumatic. Like I would not want to talk about the fact that like somebody peed in my wash water. It was not a pleasant boat journey. Let's just say
weren't those shrimp? Are you talking about the shrimp on the shore?
No, I'm talking about like a kid went over to take like a cup of water out of that, and there were like
wormy things.
Yes, which I took as maggots in the water. Okay. Like, and then they throw out. I was just like, no, I would not want to talk about that experience. Like that does not seem pleasant to me. And I think the fact that like, when you're a parent, you always do want to still put on the most positive face you can for your children. You don't want them to view you through a lens in retrospect that like, they had a really crappy opinion of me and how I acted and how this was. And so you're always worried that that might be the reaction to some of these stories that you might tell. There's a very, very poignant part. It was probably my favorite part of this book where she actually draws her showing her dad the drawings that will be in the book. Like she tells the story about Bo and his experience as a child, you know, and not only that, but how that impacted how later on Bo raised her and her traumas that she had as a child as a result of that. He was like, yeah, you seem to get it. I'm really sorry that might have happened. Dude, like I had a lot that happened in my life, and I thought it was extremely powerful. So like again, those were my favorite parts of this book.
I think this would be a really good adjunct. And you mentioned school, you know, back to school. And actually, when I was recording that I had read this on Goodreads, you know, someone mentioned that they had read this as part of an Asian, you know, studies program in high school. And I think what this book and Mouse and Persepolis all show is that having that, you know, personal narrative can really lend to a deeper understanding of kind of the historical context of things. So I think this, just as a standalone, maybe is just a little bit okay. But I think if you integrated this into a more academic, you know, setting of learning about these conflicts or these eras in time, this could lend really well and blend really well to bring it to like a more personal.
Oh yeah, to humanize the experiences people had to go through. Yeah, absolutely, I definitely see that.
And I think it would mean more. I personally do not know much about the Vietnam War, right? Like I don't. I probably know more about the resistance to it in America and things like that than the actual, you know, people and who's there and whatever. And that's just a shortfall on my education of things. But I think if I had been learning that while reading this, like it really would have tied in well together and probably solidified some of the more academic things in my mind because I would have this personal story to go along with it. So I think it's important that, you know, we keep books on the shelves. And I think the medium's really cool. We haven't talked about the art at all, but, you know, there's a lot of words in here, you know, kind of helping you through it. But the art also, you know, I think it's a medium that especially kids these days are more open to the graphic novels and things like that rather than reading, say, a novel. And so if this is something that could be tied into their education about world events, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, to go on about the art a bit, it's monochromatic almost. Everything is in black and white, and then she picked a shade of orange to use as the highlight color. So sometimes people's faces will have a little bit more pale shade of orange to give them a bit of skin color, or a shirt they're wearing will be reddish, or she'll use the color to denote a desk or denote the ground, where everything else then has been black and white. And I thought that was
watercolor.
Yeah, very painterly. One thing why I think I like so much the book ending of her birth to her son and then talking about her family in America is that it's not just a story of her parents. It very much is the story of her parents, but not just of her parents and in Vietnam and the war and being boat people and refugees, but it's also the story of immigrants in America and their life as immigrants in America and growing up as second generation immigrants. Her husband is an American and sort of that culture class and what's going on. From an American point of view, our family is like the perfect nuclear family. My sister lives down the block. My parents are around the corner. Where in Vietnam, where her parents grew up and where she was born, they would have all been living probably in the same household.
Well, she said proximity is, what is it? Proximity is not a substitute for closeness or something.
Yes, yeah. A comment on her own family, but I think it's also a comment on sort of the nuclear ideal of American families.
Yeah, no, I agree that this is an important book, and that's why we're going to give it some importance here with our ratings. That's right. It's time to get to the ratings part of this segment. So that usually comes from J.A. Scott. So Jay, what do we got this week?
We're going to rate it 1 out of 4 generations because I think they cover 4 generations in the book. If you start with Beau's father, her grandfather, and then her son, so that covers 4 generations. So Not to be confused with the Star Trek movie.
I like that movie. Come
So
on
did I.
now. It's not too shabby. It's got Malcolm McDowell in it. In any case, I'm going to go first, and I'm going to give this a solid 3.5. I think this is an important book that folks that are listening to the Last Comic Shop should check out. Again, one of the great things about our particular show is it shows the breadth of what the comic book medium is capable of. To Nicole's point, comic books can make what would be something that other folks may pass by more palatable. Again, the fact that this is an illustrated memoir, the fact that it is a story told with both pictures and words, I think makes this particular story more appealable. People in high school, college, maybe they're sick and tired of reading a textbook about something. I think this is a perfectly good example of getting some backstory about not only the immigrant experience in America, which is extremely important. That's how this nation was built. Honestly, there were things about this particular book that, as an American, I was really happy to hear a different point of view on. It's so easy to get caught up in all the stories about our experience with the Vietnam War, how we lost the rioting here, and I think there was that one section about the guy that took the photograph of the general shooting the one guy in the street.
Oh yeah,
how, like, that
we didn't touch on that. That was super cool.
And how, like, that was taken in America, but it was completely different over there. And to hear Bo's comments about that particular general and meeting that general, like, face to face, and knowing who that dude was. Again, I thought that was an important way of us stepping outside of, hey, we're American and only our viewpoint matters. Let's look at this from the perspective of the people that actually were living in that freaking country and going through this conflict at that time. Let's broaden our minds and our horizons. And I think that this book does that in spades. Again, I get why she included the more personal things about her own family and stuff, but I really was appreciative of this book for the stories of her father, her mother, their experience in the Vietnam War from a historical perspective. That's what brought me to the table. That's what kept me reading. And it was incredibly engrossing for that. So that's my 3.5. Chad.
This is just to piggyback off that. It was all about the context of, the people in that photo, and people saw one thing and that's what they thought about. And it even talked about how the photographer years later tracked down that general. And yeah, just, how it was taken one way and it, ruined this guy's life almost. And, but that's what this book is. It's giving you that context behind it. And it is, it is important. It is something that's vital. I agree with Nicole's point too, that this is something that would make a wonderful supplement if you're studying that period of time, or you're studying personal memoir, and how Thi Bui does a wonderful job chronicling her family's story and weaving in these important historical moments and events all through that very personal lens of her family. And so it's very well done in that regard. The art style, I enjoyed. I like the monochromatic. I really liked at the one page where, like, we were now boat people, and they incorporate the real life pictures of her family members that she'd been illustrating. That's that extra level of humanism where you get to the specific note. These are what these people look like in real life. And, like, you forget sometimes when we're reading these things, the impact that comics can have. And, like, this is real life. This is somebody's real life story. And there's value there. With that said, it wasn't the most exciting, so I'm going to go 3.25. As a personal experience, I thought it was pretty good, but not something that blows like mouse out of the water or, Persepolis. I feel like I've seen similar memoirs that have had more of an impact on me. I liked it, but more like a scholarly pursuit than something I would sit down and read for fun.
Not every book can be Squirrel Girl. I mean that with love, Chad.
Everyone loves Squirrel Girl. So I'll chime in.
No,
I think
no, not everyone loves Squirrel Girl.
No, they didn't. No, they did not.
I think somewhere between 3.25 and 3.5 is appropriate. So what is that?
3.75
or something like that. No, I think, to Chad's point, we've read books similar to this. I don't know if it's because we've read several of them that this one's, losing its luster in terms of its impact. It was well done. It was a little long for me, even though it read really fast. I guess it didn't feel like it followed, a true build up climax and back, so I didn't feel like it gripped me like, say a novel would or something like that. But, again, it's her story. She tells it well. I think it would be important, to somebody who's trying to personalize their education or learning about the themes around this, whether it's Vietnam in particular, immigration, childhood trauma, whatever that may be. I think it could be really useful as an adjunct with that. It was fine.
All right. Year of JA, finish us off here.
Yeah, it's a 4 for me. Probably, not very surprising that I give it a 4. This book really touched me. I loved the personal aspect of the story. I loved the way that she set it up, telling about her birth and then going into her family's history. And just the author herself, I think, is incredible. She worked on this book for 10 years, and it's the first thing that she's ever done from an illustrator's point of view. She was a school teacher in New York and Oakland, and she founded the Oakland International High School, which is the first public high school in California for recent immigrants and English learners. So that's pretty cool. And since from 2015, she's been a faculty member in the Master of Fine Arts in Comics program at the California College of the Arts. So she really sort of took everything that she had been learning and applied that to this novel. The oral histories that she mentions in the book, that was part of her thesis. And I think it's incredible, not only for a first graphic novel, but for what it says and what it's trying to do and the story that it's telling, and, really giving Americans a different aspect of the Vietnam War that they might not have known, as you said, Andrew. And just there are a lot of notes that hit that people can relate to because they're universal themes of family and childbirth. And then there are some things that are not universal themes. Thankfully, some of them repeatedly and repeat, like war and stuff. But how you deal with it and how you deal with the different generations, I think I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we read it. We can go back to some more superheroes next week, I think, Chad. So, but thank you. I do have a recommendation that's related to it that it also might be a bit dour. It's not Squirrel Girl, but sorry. but it's not one that we will have to read on the show because it's a book. So that'll get you off the hook of a future show, Chad.
I did want to just piggyback on that as Jay was talking. I think something that I thought of that I didn't mention was that you did get the sense that this was not necessarily done for us, right? Like I got the sense that she did this for her, right? And for her family. And it was about this recording of the oral histories. And the fact that it took so long, it's not like she was under some deadline to get something out to press. Like this felt cathartic for her. And I'm glad. And I hope that helped her process whatever she needed to process. That's an important thing to keep in mind is that, these things aren't always just for us and our analysis of them, right? This didn't seem to be her job, right? Like this was her life, right?
Right. So we've got some more Last Comic Shop for you right after these commercial breaks. We're going to be giving you a little bit of fun with such serious stuff. So stay tuned for that.
Just so you know, this is what's on her future burner, Chad. Her next book, Nowhere Land, will focus on the topics of incarceration and the deportation of Southeast Asian people in the United States.
I just want a fun book.
Well, she's also working on a science fiction story about climate change in Vietnam and in poor countries.
BCWSupplies.com has everything a comic collector could need. Boards, bags, long boxes, and so much else for our ever so increasing collections. And you can save 10% on your total order by using promo code LCSPOD at checkout. Not only does this take 10% off BCW Supplies' already low prices, but it supports my favorite podcast, The Last Comic Shop. So get all your collecting gear at bcwsupplies.com and save 10% on your order with promo code LCSPOD at checkout. That's LCSPOD at checkout. Happy hunting!
Being a PI, you learn fast what seems like a normal case never is. You never realize how much you're going to need your friends. You can never guess how near your enemies are. And you never know who to trust. Now I'm chasing down an ancient artifact, the only thing that can stop this newly unearthed terror. It sounds crazy, but I'm not thinking how nuts it all is. All I can think about is the only man who's ever managed to grab my heart is right at the heart of this mystery. And why? Every time my heart gets involved in anything, there's always a monster waiting in the shadows to break it.
Ripped from the pages of the self-titled comic book comes Dash, a new queer supernatural noir podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Podcast Dash, on Instagram at dash.noir, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for a game. That's right, anytime. We have not only Nicole Larson on an episode of Last Comic Shop, but also one of these episodes which is more scholarly. We want a gentle reminder to all of our folks that at the end of the day, me, J.A., Chad, we like to have fun. We're just a bunch of clowns talking about comic books for the most part. And so we're here to entertain you with scenarios. That's right. It's a great game that we have here periodically where our hostess with the mostest, Nicole Larson, is going to throw out a scenario. Like, which superhero would be the best to put together a pile of Legos? And J.A., Chad, and I are going to secretly write down our picks, at which point we're going to make our case as to why we feel our comic book character is the best to fit that scenario, at which point Nicole is going to be the final judge, award some points, and eventually we're going to have a winner.
Have I ever let you in?
Yes,
Did
you
I?
actually have, believe it or not, let me win.
If anyone knows, there's a lot of competition in the Larson family, and it is very well known that Andy Pants likes to show off, so we all gang up on him. So I feel like Chad and J.A. already have a leg up like every single time because I'm very reluctant to grant Andrew a win.
It's an uphill battle.
So I'm glad that I've already let you win. I don't feel obligated.
It's an uphill battle for the old Andy Meister, but I will say I'm going to put my best foot forward. The only rule, as you may or may not know, is once a character is thrown out, regardless of the round, you can't use them for the remainder of the game. So if in the first round, somebody uses Batman as the best person to put together Legos because he's the best thing at everything, I guess, nobody can use Batman for the remainder of the game.
But no one would use Batman to put together Legos because the multiple man would be the obvious answer for that one.
There's Lego Batmans. There's not Lego multiple men.
But one Batman to put together Legos is going to take maybe a little bit less time than a normal person putting together Legos. But the multiple man could get that Lego thing done, you know, where it says like 8 hours or 12 hours. You could do that.
Actually, I think that's false. I think Batman would be slower than a normal person because, you know, in his suit, he can't even move his head. So, like, how is he going to...
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
See,
I would go Constructicons. They construct things. They're robots. They'd go real fast.
All right. Well, I don't think any of the scenarios Nicole came up with today are about Legos. They're all about back to school. Well, they're about back to school,
yeah,
right?
We're going to do a back to school edition of scenarios. So, yeah, I've got a couple things up my sleeve for you guys. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So, the first scenario is going to set the stage for the rest of them. So I need you guys to imagine that your character of choice gets to design and be the headmaster or headmistress of a private school, and that can be a school that focuses on anything. Like, so it could be like a specialty type of school or a general school. You have to tell me who that character is and how they would build the curriculum and why it would be like the best school ever.
All right, fair enough. No,
Just trying to entertain you guys.
Teachers.
Is J.A. done, or is he thinking? He's pondering.
Oh, I've got mine. I've written mine down.
But you got to think of like what the curriculum would be.
There's no question
about it. There's got to be a story here.
There's got to be.
And again, keep in mind that this school is going to be now the setting for other answers.
All right. We got our answers?
Okay, I've got mine.
All right. So who gets to go first? School Marm?
You can go first.
Oh, I get to go first. Well, this was an interesting question. I'm sure some folks might have thought of Professor X right off the start, but he's a terrible schoolmaster. I'm just throwing it out there because if you've ever read any X-Men comics, you'll realize that Professor X is a dick. So unless he was running a school about dicks, you don't want him to be a headmaster of anything. That's why I'm going to go with Reed Richards. Reed Richards ran his own school. It was called the Futures Foundation. For those folks that might have watched the Fantastic Four movie just a couple months ago, Reed is all about sciences. Not only is science, but exploring, testing the knowledge, bringing together the best and the brightest of the Marvel Universe, putting them into a place where they will have free reign to think about the big ideas that need to move the world forward. I mean, again, just read the Future Foundation book. It already happened. And they did a great job. Like Valeria Franklin, the Dragon Man, Alex from the Power Pack, all of them. They love that school.
So what you're saying is you're just stealing an idea that's already been flushed out in the comics and you didn't put anything on your own.
No. It's worse than that. He's basically just saying it's just a STEM program.
Yeah, not creative. Okay. J.A., who did you come up with?
The Joker. Because, who wants to go to school to learn about math and engineering and science and technology when you can learn about three-card Monty and making bombs and stealing things and blowing up banks and all sorts of shenanigans
Don't forget the cosmetology.
He's an anarchist. He doesn't believe in school. What the hell is this?
Makeup and fashion. You know, what doesn't look good in purple? Imagine how fun graduation would be.
See? Creative. Anyhow, Chad?
You want creative or you want right? That's what I...
Or do you want creative, do you want right, or do you want neither? Allow me to present the Batman Detective School for Sidekicks.
Nice.
Where the entire Bat family plays a part. First, we have Alfred, who teaches how to field dress and other medical needs that a sidekick's going to need to know. We have Harold, who's running the tech shop. Harold was the hunchback guy who lived in the Bat Cave. He's going to help them with their machinery. We've got Cassie Kane, Batgirl, who teaches the Kung Fu and stealth class. She didn't talk, and she's real quiet and a little kung fu-y. We have Oracle, the original Batgirl. She is going to teach about the internet and how to use the internet to do research and conduct investigations. We have Detective Chimp, because there's the detective part of the school. We have Dick Grayson, who's going to teach about circus business economics, and teach the sidekicks how to run their own small business. We have Tim Drake, who's going to be our psychology / balancing personal life and being a good sidekick, as well as maintaining your own solo book. We're going to have Jason Todd, who's the one Robin who can use guns, so he'll teach about sharpshooting and archery, and Batman will spend his time just muttering about how criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot. It's the Batman Detective School for Sidekicks.
At least it makes sense.
Yeah, I like JA's a lot, but I will say, Chad gave me a full faculty. So I'm, if I was investing in a school program, I would have to go with that. The breadth of subjects covered and the faculty sounds very sound. So
Harley Quinn would have led to Cheer Squad.
All right. Shadow wins.
By the way, Chad always wins. I won like once, but Chad wins primarily most of our games.
Quit trying to sway the judges. Let's go. Round 2.
Scenario 2. Miss
Scenario 2.
Nicole.
Okay, this is a very, very important part of school life for kids, right? Or at least it was for me. I guess, were you guys packers or buy lunchers?
Ooh.
Who bought lunch?
I'm a lunch buyer.
I liked hot lunch.
Yeah, hot lunch.
Lunch was like $1.35, and I used to get $2 every day for lunch, so I'd get $10 for the week, and I'd get it at the beginning of the week. All I know is that I took 5 of those dollars and used it to buy comic books. So I was perpetually bumming 35 cents off my friends so that I could get a lunch.
Nice. It sounds like we all enjoyed hot lunch, so this is super important. Who would be the best cafeteria lady / man, and what are they putting on the menu? What's the chef special?
Ooh. I've got mine.
Yep, I'm good.
Can you just give me like a Chiha hand?
What's a Chiha?
Chiha. Is that Moana?
Grandma does. Chiha.
Yeah, I've got this. No, I'm Chihaing them. They don't have a chance on this one.
All right.
J.A. sounds pretty damn cocky with that, so let's let him go.
Well, now I'm
first.
going to lose, obviously. It's Galactus, because he can give you the world.
He can give you the world.
Who wants to eat dirt? Hold on. Nobody wants to eat dirt and rocks.
Yeah, tell me more about this, because like he eats it. Is it regurgitated?
What the hell are you doing here?
No. So,
Hard metals?
before he eats said worlds, he has all of their cuisine laid out to him, so he can just present any of many worlds that he's traveled to and give you notes and hints of their cuisine.
He takes what he's eaten before on other planets, and he is able to then translate it to the students.
Correct. It's not regurgitating, but he's giving you hints and notes. This dish has notes of Alpha Centauri in it.
Oh, very oaky.
Think of it like going into Starbucks, where they have that basket of all the different coffees from the different areas and regions. Some are mixed, some are pure blend, some are single origin. Well, this is Galactus. So, single origin Alpha Centauri lunch.
It's still sand and rocks. Nobody was going to eat that.
All right, well, what's your rebuttal?
Oh, my rebuttal is Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is going to be the awesomest person to work in a cafeteria.
Roadkill?
No, squirrels don't eat roadkill. They are the roadkill. But what squirrels eat? They eat a lot of vegetables, fruits, nuts. They eat a lot of healthy, sustainable food. That's right. Yeah, I could see Squirrel Girl instituting kind of like a vegan kind of thing. A lot of protein-based meals, lots of fresh fruits, vegetables into the cuisine. She might have to, slightly tweak it for those folks with nut allergies, because she is all about eating nuts and kicking butts. But still, I still feel like it is a much more well-rounded menu than, again, rocks and sand. He eats planets. That's what he eats. He doesn't eat like planets.
There is food on the planets that he's eating. You realize this, right? I know that he himself is just eating the raw materials, but there's food and cuisine on these planets. He's a well-traveled man.
What is Squirrel Girl's you said plant-based, but then you said high protein. So what's her plant-based?
She eats
acorns.
Just nuts?
Lots of nuts and
lots
berries.
of nuts.
Is there going to be tofu and stuff on this?
Sure, why not? She seems very forward-thinking. She seems to be the type of person that would implement cuisines and things that, again, sustainable, earth-friendly. Rah-rah, I love it. Let's go.
Yep.
All right, Chad, who's dishing up the good stuff at your school?
All right, when you think the hot lunches in the cafeteria, there are a couple things that have to be true. One, secretly, it's kind of good, but it's all a little bit gross. They have to mass produce this stuff. And keeping with both things, where something could be interesting and cool, there could be a variety, but at the end of the day, it's all a little bit gross. I'm going to go with the Green Lantern Corps as my cafeteria staff. And they can make whatever you want, but it's going to be green. And maybe it's Gnort dishing things out. Maybe it's Jessica Cruz. Maybe it's Kyle. Maybe it's Guy Gardner, who's just like chicken patty, chicken patty, chicken patty. Maybe you're getting Kyle out there and he's giving you these, artistic artisanal fare from around the globe, or you're getting Hal Jordan, who's just giving you a slop from his days in the Air Force. But you're going to have access to a wide variety of foods. They're all just going to be green and a little bit gross.
You're triggering me.
Uh-oh.
I was totally reminded of high school and everything was made out of Spam.
Yeah.
Come on, Squirrel Girl. She's giving fruits and vegetables.
I think that Andrew's choice probably does align best with current dietary recommendations.
Oh no, like half the school won't be able to eat it because they'll have nut allergies.
Yeah, you can't do that these days.
Yeah.
You need standard green procedures.
Reed Richards will remove the allergen
Thanks,
from the nuts.
yeah.
I'll give it to Andrew. I liked his idea.
I'm just imagining Gnort in one of those hairnets. You're missing the boat here.
It's all energy.
That's what you need out of lunch, is energy. Green light energy.
It's a very light diet. It's very...
He lost me at slop.
See, you lost her at slop. You shouldn't have said slop. Then it was
Shouldn't have
like,
said
ew.
slop.
All right, what's scenario number 3, school marm, Nicole?
Alrighty. Let's see if someone can take this 2 out of 3, although that puts J.A. at a pretty big disadvantage. He'd have to tie this one to keep the game going. So we're going to keep the theme of additional staff in our school. And I would like to hear from you fellas your best bus driver and what they're driving and all of that. J.A. scouring his shelves. That's what I do when I have to pick a character. I'm like looking at these books on the side of me. I'm like, who do I know? What can I make up?
I'm struggling with this one a little bit. I won't lie. I'm on the struggle bus. Ah! Bam, 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 bam.
Chad's eye roll. He missed it. It was great. Literally, his eyes were like gone. They were so far in the back of his head. So who hasn't gone first? Chad has not.
Chad has not gone
All right.
first.
Chad, why don't you lead us off? Who's your bus driver?
Okay, so in a bus driver, you want a couple of things. You want somebody who's reliable, somebody who can handle kids and put up with whatever kids are going to try to get away with and stomp that stuff out and not let them get out of hand. And you want somebody who's going to make it to school on time. And so who is driving my bus? It's the Juggernaut. It's the Jugger bus. It's got that brown color that I think would go well in a school setting. Nothing's going to stop the Jugger bus from getting to where it needs to go. No kid is going to mess with the guy who's powered by the Sidorak crystals, is able to squash anything that goes down. And you need somebody to protect the kids. Juggernaut can do that. You need somebody to plow through the snow. Juggernaut can do that. He's the Juggernaut, bitch. Sit down and shut up. We're getting to school. Juggernaut.
And Pants, who's your bus driver? Jay is evidently more on the struggle bus than you.
Wow. Well, this took a little bit of time, but to go along with what Chad was saying, what do you want in a bus driver? You want somebody that knows how to drive. You know how to somebody that knows the road. You know, somebody that, again, intrinsically understands what is it like to be a motor vehicle. And so who would be the best person to be a bus driver? It would be Optimus Prime. That's right. Optimus Prime from the Transformers. He's not only somebody that you can trust, has good solid judgment, good leadership skills, can get your kids there safe on time, but actually can transform into the vehicle that he's going to be driving. Sure, it's technically a tractor trailer truck, but I'm sure he could work his cab and the backside to be off, so he put some windows in there for the kids. He understands what kids like. He understands what kids love. And who wouldn't want to be driven to school by a Transformer? That's right, Optimus Prime. He is your bus driver 2028.
Roll out.
That's a pretty compelling argument, I have to say. All right, Jay's got to pull this one out if we want to keep this game going.
I think both of you have thought very one-dimensionally about this whole bus driver. You've been focused on a vehicle and the fact that you need to pick up kids and take them from point A to point B, and along the way pick up more kids and control them, sort of like what a real bus driver does. But this is a hero universe. Why restrict yourself to a mode of transportation that exists in the real world? I'm say Thor. And his rainbow bridge will get everybody to school on time very, very quickly. And not only that, but no one's going to mess with Thor because he's Thor. And even if he's drunk, he can still call up the rainbow bridge and get you there. I'm not looking at somebody to discipline the kids or somebody to get the kids to go to school because it's a cool transforming bus. No. I'm just looking at getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible because I know every kid, it's not so much going to school that they hate. It's getting stuck on the bus when they could be somewhere else after school. Would you rather be sitting on your bus listening to the Juggernaut tell you what not to do, sitting on the bus as the Transformer rolls around with his Energon cube problem, or go from point A to point B on the Rainbow Bridge like
I think Jay got you guys there.
Ah.
I think
Thou hast done well, verily.
There you go.
R.
All right.
Yes, I have.
So we're all tied up at 1 point apiece. So I think we're going to have time for one final scenario.
Oh, wow.
To determine the winner.
Okay.
All right. Moving away from faculty and adults here, the yearbook often has all those superlative awards, who's most likely to be the president, who's, got the best hair, blah, 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 right? Probably not in the yearbook, but, certainly I think the school kids normally come up with who is the class pet, teacher's pet. And, it's going to take a fair amount of brown nosing for you guys to get my point to win this game. So I want you to tell me which character would make the best brown noser at school. Who's the teacher's pet? And what are they doing to win the teacher over? Woo me, fellas, woo me. Who's going to get my point?
All right.
And I'm the teacher, by the way. So
Oh, you're the teacher.
I'm the teacher.
All
Who
right.
can suck up to me best?
We're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I didn't say suck. Oh, dirty dog. And cut that out.
All right. Well, regardless, I think I have mine. I may not win, but I hope I get points for creativity.
Well, because you bombed on the first question with that.
Sorry, I got
I
my.
thought that was cute. You had to brown nose me to win.
Mm.
I thought that was cute.
You are cute. You're adorable. That is brown nosing.
Let's go youngest to oldest.
Oh, that would be Chad.
So, okay, who would be the best brown noser? Who would tell you the best stories about what a great job you're doing? Who would be the one to convince you that everything's okay? But the Lord of Mischief, Loki. The Lord of Stories. Not only is he handsome and debonair, but his compliments would seem so nice. Whether he meant it or not, you wouldn't be able to tell because he's Loki. And that's what he does.
Smart choice. If Chad, I don't know if he was thinking of me and my little Tom Hiddles. How do you say his name? Hiddles.
It's pronounced Handsome Man? Tom Handsome Man?
Yeah, handsome man. So that's what I'm saying. That was a pretty smart pick there you got there, buddy. All right. Next oldest would be
Oh,
Anthony.
that's me. Now, again, I didn't focus on your term brown noser. I focused on your term teacher's pet. And so, who's the best pet? Who's a good dog? That's right, it's Crypto. Who are you going to love the most but that lovable pooch from Krypton? Who's going to come up to you, wagging his tail, saying, "Oh, do you want some cuddles from me? I'm always here for you to support you as a teacher. I'm your service animal. I'm your security blanket. I'm your emotional support. I am your teacher's pet. I'm a good boy, and I deserve treats and nice pets behind the ear. I am Crypto. Woof."
That's a very literal interpretation of teacher's pets.
Hey!
Crypto a student?
Literally,
Woof.
comes with a leash and everything. Woof.
I hope a student isn't offering to cuddle. I mean, that's very Dawson's Creek. For those
Oh,
who
season 1 Pacey, baby.
I don't know why I threw back so 20 years to Dawson's Creek.
You guys have just aged us out of, even George has turned off the podcast by this point.
Sorry, people were old. And
But
speaking of
Pacey
the
was so
oldest-
handsome.
Anyhow, speaking of the older people, J.A., you're the oldest, so you go last.
I'll say, I am going with somebody that is probably not liked because while the teacher might like the teacher's pet, everybody else hates the teacher's pet. and that is the Purple Man. Now, Nicole, you'll probably know this from the first season of Jessica Jones.
Jessica.
Giving me palpitations already. Purple Man freaking out.
Because, as you know, his power is to release pheromones and make you feel and think things that are maybe not what you're really feeling and thinking. Kind of like what a teacher's pet does, where they get on the teacher's good side and insinuate themselves into the teacher's mind and get them to overlook certain things that they do, or give them better grades than they should have deserved, or not call on them, or call on them all the time. So the Purple Man, I think, would be the best teacher's pet because they are actually doing what real teacher's pets do.
Yeah, but that's gross and bad. Loki's fun.
And you know who's the most fun? Woof.
I think
Crypto's a good boy.
Well, and J.A. also hit on another little crush of mine with David Tennant. So I'm sorry, Andrew. I think you're out.
Revolt, people! You love Crypto!
Well, and I feel like both Loki and the Purple Man, again, the manipulation aspect is quite interesting. Well, they both make my heart pitter-patter a little bit, but only one gives me palpitations. Purple Man it is.
J.A. wins!
Congrats, J.A.
All right, so J.A., that means you are the comeback king of the back-to-school edition of Scenarios.
That's right. And we don't have time for recommendations this week, but J.A. did have one quick one that he mentioned earlier in the show. Real quickly before we get to wrapping up, what's that recommendation, J.A.?
I was going to recommend, if you want to learn more and read more about the Vietnam experience as told by the Vietnamese, I strongly recommend The Sorrow of War by Bao Ninh.
So there you go. A serious, real book to finish off our serious, scholarly episode of The Last Comic Shop. And we hope that you stick around for more episodes of The Last Comic Shop in future. You can do that by going out to www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com, rate, reviewing, and subscribing. We promise that next week we are going to have other superhero-related comics. We've got George from Shortbox Summaries going to be stopping by to read the original Secret Wars limited series done by the late, great Jim Shooter, who passed away, unfortunately, this year. But in honor of Jim Shooter, we'll be looking at that time when Dr. Doom tried to wish away Captain America, and it just didn't stick.
Am I going to get to read Jessica Jones soon?
Yeah, absolutely. Jessica Jones will be on a future episode by the end of the year, we promise. So again, rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes upcoming.
And while we might be the Last Comic Shop podcast, we don't want to be the Last Comic Shop. So I encourage you guys to get out there, read those books, even the classy ones like The Best We Could Do by Thi Bui, or that real book that Jay recommended. All that more waits for you at your local comic shop and bookstore and whatever. And then come back to the website, www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com, where you can find what else, J.A.?
We have a link to our merch store where we get t-shirts, tote bags, coffee mugs. We're going into the Halloween season, so get your order in early for the Bats in the Belfry Halloween edition of the Last Comic Shop t-shirt. That's right. Only available in the Halloween season. So if you want to get that cool design with the bats flying out, now's the time.
Yeah, but it's after Labor Day, so I feel like it's fair. I mean, if you're thinking about Halloween before Labor Day, you're just weird. Yeah, you know, you got the Spirit Halloween stores starting to pop up.
Hey,
Fall, y'all. It's fall, y'all.
All I'm saying is if our merch store was based in the Philippines, we'd already be selling the Christmas stuff.
There you go. Summerween was months ago. The Halloween stuff's out. Bring the Christmas stuff in.
Well, if you're not quite ready for Halloween merch or Christmas merch, but you do need some comic book supplies, you can head over to bcwsupplies.com, grab your long boxes or other collectible paraphernalia stuff. And if you're kind enough to use the promo code LCSPOD, you'll get a little bit of a bonus with a little discount, and it'll support the shop. So we appreciate it.
That's right. Get 10% off your purchases over at bcwsupplies.com using that promo code LCSPOD. They've got all the stuff you need. So go out there, grab that stuff, get a little bit of a discount, and help support the Last Comic Shop in the process.
That's my stick. Why
I know. Why
don't you just repeat
that
it?
is how you do it. You just got to repeat it. You rinse, repeat.
I think he's telling me I didn't do a good enough job.
No, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much to Nicole Larson for being on this week's episode of The Last Comic Shop. We will have her back to read some stuff during the Halloween season. I think Somna is the book you're going to be reading with us by Becky Cloonan. Becky Cloonan and Tula Lote. You'll get your Jessica Jones. I promise. You'll get it. You'll get it. Until then, I was the host of Most Danny Larson. I was joined by Chad Smith, Jay Scott, and the always waiting Nicole Larson. Until next week, stay safe, stay scholarly. That's right. Don't show how intelligent you are. Show that comic books are more than just capes and cows. They can be used for a variety of different reasons, especially telling interesting and poignant stories.
We're done. Goodbye.
Comic Shop Podcast was a 2025 Black Angus production.